Hey, could I have a Whopper with no onions and an Impossible Whopper with no onions?
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Second window.
So the first thing I will tell you is that Impossible Whopper is $1 more. $4.59 for regular, $5.59 for the Impossible.
11:17. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So when you order them like this with no onions, they usually have to make them fresh. Which is great, except I got to get back for the podcast. Thank you. Thank you. And here we go. Now it's just time to drive back and try them on the air.
Welcome into the podcast, man. Wow, I'm Jay, and that's Keith over there. Keith, what do you got going on? I hear some like
nothing.
You hyperventilating or something?
Well, I was hungry.
You got a little brown bag of something going on,
and I didn't have
there,
a chance to eat before. So this was my idea. Whoops, that's the wrong side. Burger King has this new, they call it the International Whopper. I saw a commercial, and you know I'm a sucker for marketing, right?
Right.
So this thing is supposedly, I don't know much about it except that it's all plant based, and I'm a carnivore. You know, I have nothing. I understand the life reasons why people may want to go with like a vegetarian or vegan diet.
Yeah.
Until I have a health reason to do so, that's just not my thing, right?
Right.
So what I decided to do was run through the drive-thru real quick, right before the show.
Sure.
And I got
the Impossible.
It's called an Impossible Whopper.
Yeah.
And then we got the regular Whopper.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna eat on the air because you know that's great radio when you got food in your mouth and you're.
Gosh, man, I wish you could have sent me one of those. Now I'm hungry.
Well, so what should I do first?
I think because you are so used, your palate's going to be so used to just straight up, just good old grade A ground beef choice.
Yes.
I hope it's at least choice ground beef that they're using.
Right.
But I would go there first because then you're
go with the real deal.
I'd go with the real deal first, man.
All right, here we go. This is Burger King Whopper.
Dude, you got to put a drum roll in there, man. Well, no, the drum roll should come after the Impossible Burger. Let's see. Because you know that burger right there is going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, well, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, normally. All right, let's see what we get here. All right,
yeah. Oh, I would eat it.
This is.
Okay. I'm ready. Okay,
this
folks.
Is hard to do actually with a microphone.
Guys, just for those of you not watching the podcast, you're just listening. He's got a bib on. It's awesome. Ooh, and the look on his face, man. Are you choking it down, man? What's up?
Oh, starving, man.
So am I. You're not helping me out.
This is a Whopper, just like I remember them.
Is it the works? Is it the works? Got the tomato.
I just got a regular Whopper. Well,
yeah.
Everything but onion.
Oh man. See, you got to have onion on that too, man. I'm an onion guy.
I am too, but they don't like me, as my dad used to say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what'd you think, flavor-wise? Tastes
that's
just
exactly
like you remember?
Like I remember them.
Okay, so that's the whole goal of these guys, of Burger King and the McDonald's. Their key is to give you the same experience every time, which is supposed to be great every time, right? That's what they say.
Yep.
Okay. Now you got to cleanse your palate. What are you doing that with?
I did. I hit it with water. That was just lettuce.
Okay. Okay, that'll work.
All right.
Okay,
so
I'm ready.
Here,
I'm ready.
let's see. Let's see if I can do this sort of 1.5 handed here. Nope. It's not there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let me try this again. Tastes like a beet sandwich.
Well, I watched an episode of how the Impossible Burger is actually made and how they do this. So the science behind it is that the flavor you get, from the meat and everything is based on the proteins that the animals are eating, the feed, the plants, that stuff. So that's where all this stuff comes from. My understanding is that what they were trying to do was to
keep talking.
Extract the proteins out of the plants that these animals are eating, and then create that. They say that it's the same protein found in the blood that gives it the flavor. It's the iron and all. It's some sort of science behind all that to where they can give it the same color, the texture, and all that. And I haven't had an Impossible burger yet, but I'll be glad to go check that out as well.
So here's what I can tell you. You can tell that they tried. I scarfed down a couple more bites after that initial one or two, as you can see. You can taste that stuff that you were talking about where it's got a little bit of the, kind of flavor, the char flavor.
Right.
And the proteins.
Right.
But you can definitely tell it's plant-based. It's not bad. It's just not, for a carnivore like me, it wouldn't be my choice.
Right.
And here's what I can equate it to. You know how everybody tells you like Diet Dr. Pepper tastes the same as regular Dr. Pepper?
Sure.
And we all know that's a lie because they don't.
Right.
I mean, you could blindfold me and I could tell you the difference.
Yeah.
This is like that. It's like a diet drink and a regular drink.
Right. But I'll say this now on that same note, like the zero versions, like Coke Zero, they to me taste like the real deal. But when I drink a Diet Coke, I can tell immediately.
Yeah.
But I can also tell when I get there's nothing better than an ice cold Coca-Cola out of a bottle. One of those, the old school glass bottles. And when I was a kid, man, we used to run around town and we would scour the community looking for these bottles, take them in and get the cash off the return.
Yeah, there's something about that for sure. Mm-hmm. Especially when they have the real sugar.
Yeah. Most definitely. So it's interesting we're on this subject and there's alternative, it kind of ties into the automotive industry because everybody's looking for alternative ways to do their part in saving the environment. Also giving other options to people that happen to be on a vegetarian diet or a vegan and they're vegans or whatever. It gives them another opportunity. But it's weird for me because why would you want to tease yourself with something that kind of appears and tastes like beef if you're a vegetarian? You know what I'm saying? Why would you do that to yourself? Why don't you just eat the piece of meat, man?
Preach.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I will say this. I have right now in my freezer that I'm going to try because I haven't been there yet. I'm a big cauliflower fan. Okay. And there are these cauliflower pizza crusts that are out there.
I've had them.
I've got 2 in my freezer right now. I'm going to try one here in the next day or so and I'll report back to you.
We should talk.
my opinion on that.
And I'm not going to tell you what I think, but I will tell you this: my wife and I have differing opinions on those.
Yeah, and what are those opinions?
Well,
do you like them?
I'm not telling you. You got to try it for yourself first.
Oh, okay. Next podcast, I'll have made that. I'm gonna do. My intent is to not smother it in anything. I'm gonna go with a pesto, and probably like a mushroom pesto, mozzarella, and maybe some like sun-dried tomatoes. That way, it's more. You're gonna get the more of the crust. So.
All right. So, speaking of the next podcast, Jay.
Yeah.
We've been talking about doing something. We've been kind of putting the warning out that we're going to start doing drawings.
Yeah.
On the podcast. We're going to do a live drawing. I wore my Parts Counter Guru's hat today to remind me to talk about this.
Yeah.
What's your what are we so I think starting our next podcast, right?
Yeah.
Which would be 31. Oh, by the way, happy 30th podcast.
Happy 30th, man. Wow. Yeah, this is awesome. What was it like maybe has it been a year since we started this?
Not quite.
Okay. Wow. Who'd have thought, man? We started this thing.
Well, it's been over a year since we started the project, but since our first podcast, it has not been a year.
Yeah. That'll be later in the fall, I think.
Right. That's
Correct?
right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. So
30. So this is podcast 30. So starting on podcast 31,
mm-hmm.
we're going to do it on the air on the podcast giveaway.
Yeah. Right.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or do you want? I can talk about it. I just don't want to talk right now, so I figured I'd let you talk.
Yeah, you need to probably clear your throat.
Yeah.
And then go run to the bathroom and grab a couple of Tums to help you digest the grain that you just put into your body. But yeah, no, I think what our goal was is to get you guys to show how much we appreciate your subscriptions for sure. And in order to win a giveaway, you must be a subscriber to our YouTube channel. And
how do I do that?
You can go to our website, which is partscounterguru.com, and if you go up to the left-hand side of the web page there, you'll see podcast links, and just click on the YouTube channel, the media channel there, and then there's a subscribe button there, and just subscribe. We're looking for you to comment, ask us a question, or anything like that. And then once you've done that, we are going to randomly select a winner. And those prizes are going to vary. And I have one right here in my hand. You want me to go ahead and show that, Keith?
All right. So the first prize we're going to give away on podcast 31 is...
This is Chemical Guys Mr. Pink Super Foam.
Not to be confused with Mr. Pink from Reservoir Dogs, right?
Correct. That is correct.
Right.
I actually used this car wash in my product review of the Chemical Guys. That's at HOL 121 was the kit number, which, by the way, you can buy that through our website.
That's one of my favorite videos that we've done, by the way. And that's... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You were about to...
No, I was just going to say that, if you want... if you get this, if you win this and you want to try it, hand wash your vehicle with it.
Yep.
I would highly recommend that you can click through our website. We have a link to it. It's mentioned on the podcast. Or you can just go right to the upper right-hand corner. You'll see an Amazon link there, and just click on that and put it in your shopping cart. What's most important about that is if you purchase that through our website, that helps us out a little bit. We don't know we don't know who you are. We don't know what you're buying. We can't connect the dots. That's none of our business. And it's basically a click through to get you over to Amazon. But to help us out, you need to get it in your shopping cart and purchase it within 24 hours of putting it in your shopping cart. So
what he said.
That would be much appreciated.
And you can buy the whole car wash kit
Yes.
If you go to Jay's video on our YouTube channel, which
right.
is the car wash review for the Chemical Guys products,
right.
this is in that kit, right?
That is, yep.
And there is a link in the comments of that video on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, that you can buy the whole kit, which I bought for my wife, and she loves it.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic.
And you reviewed it, and So
I mean, I can go back over some of the high points of that kit. It comes with these microfiber drying towels, which are fantastic. It's got a silk lining on the outside so it doesn't scratch your vehicle when you dry it. Does a really great job. I used it. It also has a microfiber like chamois style wash mitt, which is really good. It's very nice and delicate on the surface of your car. It picks up little light particles of dirt, and then the bucket and everything that it comes with, it has a dirt trap or particle trap at the bottom. It's just a thick piece of plastic with a lot of holes in it that allows you to rinse your mitt out or your towel, whatever you're using. But I would highly recommend you use the mitt that comes in the kit because it's going to perform very well for you. But it gets that dirt to settle down through, and then you don't have to worry about getting dirt back on the surface and scratching, getting those little swirl marks in there. Also with it is like this after dry stuff that I used on my own vehicle after I shot the video, just because I was curious how it worked. I didn't have time to use it on the first vehicle, but I did on mine. And man, that stuff is awesome. You basically spray this after wash on. It's a drying agent. You spray it all over the vehicle, and as you're wiping it off with those drying towels, it gives it this nice, super glossy coating. It helps dry. It protects it. And honestly, the next time you go to wash your vehicle, that dirt is just basically rolls off the vehicle. It's awesome. Chemical Guys car wash stuff is out of this world good stuff, man.
One of the things that I liked about their product and the concept was, and this is something I try to tell my wife, if you don't let your car go 4 months in between washes, it's easier to clean it.
That's true.
And they have some products in this kit that are more for heavy-duty grime and some that are for light-duty washing. And when you use the stuff, it makes it less work for you to clean it the next time.
That's right.
And they're very good at that, which I was very impressed by.
Well, and you will notice too, if you wash the vehicle and say 3 or 4 days later you're in a rain shower or something, you're going to see the water beating up off of it. It's like you've waxed it. So I'm going to be taking it a step further and buying some of their other. I want to get. They've got some metal, got some metal polishes that I want to purchase and try out. I've got a couple of tailpipe, got some chrome extensions on my pipes on the backside of my Mini that are pretty carboned up from the exhaust that I haven't cleaned in a while. Guilty me. But I'll get to that, and I'll just do a short video on how it cleans before and after.
I will be eagerly awaiting. Well,
they've got
waiting.
Awaiting. Yeah, eagerly awaiting.
All right.
I think is the appropriate way. So
if you're not subscribed to us on the YouTube channel,
that's right.
Please go do that to be eligible for the drawing next week.
Yep.
Next podcast, I should say.
That's right.
Sometimes they're a little bit more than a week apart. And if you are a current subscriber, thank you very much for doing that. You can find us on YouTube. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, TuneIn. I mean, the list is kind of we're on all the major ones. As Jay mentioned, on our website, partscounterguru.com, there is a podcast links tab at the top there, and you can click on that tab, and it'll take you to links to whatever your favorite podcast platform is. It'll take you to it. We're on the video podcast side on the Apple stuff, and then on the Android stuff, if you want to see the video, you got to go to YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed. Jay, we've talked about my hat. What about your hat?
I'll say this. It's the tallest trucker hat in my inventory. I love the colors.
Montreal Expos.
I think that's where they they kind of stole that from. But this is I don't know. Can you see this? It's.
I'm like leaning into the yeah. Yeah.
It's called Montucky Cold Snack. And here's how I got this thing. Now, Keith finds this very amusing, but I happen to be an avid cornhole player. My wife and I both love to play the game. For those of you who do not know what cornhole is, it is, and we're talking the G-rated version. It's two boards that are placed 26 feet apart. The boards are on about a 25-degree angle. You have bags that the initial game, to get the real deal, they do come with corn in them. I have the all-weather bags without the corn in them, so that way they'll last a little bit longer. And plus the mice don't like to eat the other stuff. I had that happen back in my house in Tennessee. I stored them in the garage. I kept finding little pieces of corn that were being strategically placed in shoes, and finally put two and two together. And by the time I got to them, the guy had eaten through an entire bag. So anyway, got rid of the food source.
So this solves a mystery, by the way.
Okay.
So Jay and I share a collaborative notebook of. We keep business documents in it, news articles for the show, shot lists for things we're working on, videos, that kind of stuff. Pretty much anything we need to kind of document.
Right.
And I've been getting these because we have the pro version of this product, this software. And they do little, here's a related article. And so I've been getting on my phone, I've been getting all these suggestions on cornhole regulation, like the legal distances between them and the correct size for the hole. And I'm literally looking at this, like sitting on the sofa going, what is this all about? Like, where is this coming from? Now I know.
You think maybe that's what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we stay. Yeah, we stay in tune with what the rules are. But see, so here's what happened. The hat. We won the hat. We won it not by winning a game. They had raffles and stuff, so we were able to win this hat. It was a double elimination bracket game. We had 20 teams, 40 people. So we made it to game 3, and we lost out. We lost our first match to a nice young couple, and then we came back the second game in the losers bracket, and we toasted them. I think we beat them 21-2 or something. I was dropping threes like crazy. Exactly, man. But anyway, unfortunately,
do they have hockey air horns in cornhole?
We should do that.
They should, man. We could do it.
You gotta make it exciting.
I'd be the guy back there. I'd get kicked out though. I'd be politely asked. The first person in the history of cornhole ever ejected from a cornhole tournament.
Right. That would be my luck as well. But we unfortunately got to the winners bracket again, and we came over and we drew the same couple that beat us the first time. And by the time we got to them the second time, we had figured them out, and we lost 21-20. We were neck and neck the entire game. It was it was actually, we were told after the event that it was the most exciting match that they had seen the entire day. So there you go.
There you go.
Fun stuff, man. My wife, man, she is such a competitor, man. I mean, she's dropping those things in the hole, man. This gal can throw some corn bags, man.
So
she can toss them. I
think the lesson here is even if you lose, you win. It sounds like in cornhole tournaments.
Absolutely. They had Montucky was the sponsor. Montucky Cold Snack was the sponsor of the event. They gave away 2 official cornhole boards and bags to go with that had the Montucky like the hat, their logo on it. It's pretty cool. They gave away. Actually, I think they gave away 2 sets of those. And then the beer was like, I think, a couple bucks a can, 16 ounces, big tall boys. Nice. So just to kind of give you guys a flavor of how this, if you come west of the Rockies, You're probably going to find it readily available. I doubt very seriously east of the Mississippi or I think from the Front Range on east, you're probably not going to find it because then you're getting in.
We could change that. Jerry Reed style, right?
Yes, you can load it up and head it east, man. But it's a good beer. It's a good all-day beer. It's one of those that you could crack and kind of, work on stuff around the yard or whatever and be pretty good. I think the alcohol volume on it is around, 3.8%, 4%. Kind of like a Busch or something like that, or a Pabst.
Yeah.
So good beer though. I enjoyed it. I had a great time, man. So thanks for asking about the hat, man.
Yeah.
And I love your hat too. I know you already mentioned it, but
it's one of my favorite hats. It's really special.
That's a really, really cool hat. So
these
people take a look
at it. So we are going to get to a point where we're going to give a few of these away.
Yeah.
Jay had these done. Mm-hmm. They're really nice hats. Like, corporate hats. Sometimes somebody gives you a company hat and you're like, yeah, and you sort of like, it's. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what you'd expect. Like, they bought them in bulk and they're kind of These are not, unless they want to sponsor us, I'm not going to say the brand name, but it's a brand name that
Yeah.
And they're really nice hats, man.
Yeah, they're right up there.
My son, who doesn't want to wear a lot of hats, says it's like, he's like, I really like this hat.
If you were to buy that in a brewery... Like, that's the big deal out here. Every brewery you go to, they have a trucker hat or a golf hat or a hat of some sort.
Yeah, I've done the hat tour. Yeah, I walked away with... my wife says I have a problem.
I do too, man. That's why we get along, man. We're hat guys. But, man, these are $30, $30+ hats.
They're nice.
Yeah, they're really nice, and I like them, and we wanted to have both varieties. Not everybody likes a trucker hat. We have trucker hats, and we have the golf hats. So trucker hats are cool, man. I don't have one handy on this show.
Well, we'll do that next time.
We'll do that next time. But and the key is, remember, guys, you have to be a subscriber and you have to comment on the podcast that we're giving away. That's how it works, right? Or email in a question.
My preference is you need to be a subscriber to our YouTube channel because that's where we get the most benefit from. It helps the show. It helps the show in both getting publicized and Google allowing us to unlock certain features on our YouTube channel. So, my preference is make sure you're subscribed. The first drawing we're going to do next week, I'm going to do it from the list, or Jay's going to do it from the list of existing YouTube subscribers. So if you haven't done it, hurry up and go subscribe on YouTube.
Please do, man. We want you. We want you. And remember what I always say, guys. It doesn't
We'll sell no wine before... Oh, wait, sorry.
It doesn't cost you a dime. It's free to you, but it's priceless to us for you to subscribe.
That's like my favorite Jay-ism on the podcast.
Yeah. I came up with that all on my own, man.
Well, that's why. It must be why, yeah. All right, you want to do some news? Let's do some news.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Yeah. I'm ready, man. Live from PartsCounterGuru.com. The news.
Here, you want to rock paper scissors for who goes first?
You go ahead. No, you go ahead. I went first last time. You go ahead.
You keeping track of this?
Yeah, I try to do that, man. I think it's favorable for both of us to keep it even.
Okay, well now I'm going to be super self-conscious about this.
Why?
Because next podcast I'm going to go, wait, did I go first last time? And I'm just going to do that every podcast. I'm going to be like, I can't remember who went first because I won't ever remember. All right.
Sure you will.
Okay. Actually, let's start on a controversial note. I'm to the point in my life where I have to dress myself with things to remind myself of things, right? So I'm wearing the Parts Counter Guru hat, both because it's cool, but also to remind me to talk about the drawing on the show. And then I'm wearing the Marvel t-shirt because there was a very, very big deal that happened in the comic book nerd world last Friday, just within the past 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this?
Well, I was just going to say, let me just say this. I saw your piece that you dropped in for us to review, and I didn't get a chance, so I got to plead ignorance on this. So I'm excited to hear about it. I know
you can play the part of why does this matter, and we'll take it from there. Okay. So
okay.
So Sony, if you're listening, I hate you so much right now. Oh, I hate you. The list of why I hate you is so long. Okay.
The marriage is over.
So, Sony owns the movie rights to Spider-Man. Okay? Mm-hmm. And for many, many years, all the way back to when Sam Raimi did the first with Tobey Maguire did the Spider-Man movies, that was right. Sony Studios. Okay?
Great movies, by the way. Loved it.
Disney bought Marvel 10-ish years ago, I think. Mm-hmm. Disney does not have the rights on screen to Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man is a Marvel comic, and I think he's actually in... I don't know.
He is. Yep.
Oh, there he is, right there.
Yeah, right there. That's it. Yep.
All right, but different entities, different production houses, different movie studios have bought the rights to these different characters. So when we got the Avengers movies and we got all those kind of like Thor and Iron Man and the Hulk and Captain America and all that, right? Those are all Disney Marvel Studios, okay?
Right.
About 3 years ago-ish, Disney and Sony struck a deal for Spider-Man where Sony retains the ownership rights, but Disney was allowed to use him in their movies. And they shared some of the profits.
Okay. So, all right. Well, okay, so there was no collaborative effort on the films themselves, though, between the two, or was there?
Okay, so that's a really good question. So after Tobey Maguire left, Sony did a couple movies with a guy named Andrew Garfield, and they were called The Amazing Spider-Man, and they were pretty good, but they didn't go over too well. They didn't make a lot of money, which is usually how these places gauge this, right? And
right.
So they did this reboot, and when they brought in Tom Holland, who's the current Spider-Man actor, they struck a deal. Part of the deal they struck with Marvel Studios was that the head of Marvel Studios, his name is Kevin Feige, was going to produce these movies. So he had creative input, okay? And what he was what that allowed them to do was, because he was sort of the keeper of the direction of all these like they had a plan that they were going, this 10-year plan, and it culminated in the Avengers Endgame, the last movie, right? Well, he knew where this was all going, so he would kind of guide and direct little pieces of where this current Spider-Man was going, because he knew it was going to play together to a grand show at the end, right? Mm-hmm. So basically the split comes down to money. The last Spider-Man movie that they did together, which was called Spider-Man Far From Home, I saw it with my kid probably a month ago, is the highest grossing Sony Studios movie ever.
Wow.
Ever. Okay?
Wow.
And
that's saying something.
They couldn't reach an agreement, and from what we can tell, and there's varying reports on this, but it looks like Disney wanted a 50-50 split with Sony, meaning they wanted to share the profits, and Sony said no. And, to be honest with you, I don't care if Disney asked for 70%. They are knocking these Marvel movies out of the park. They're the highest grossing movies ever. Whether you do or don't like the comic books, you can't deny that they're huge right now.
Right.
And for Sony to kind of step up and go, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. We'll take it from here. Are you guys just stupid? I mean, what?
It sounds like they are. They should be talking to the marketing team at GM. The ones that just put the new G8 out. So they should be on how to do it right.
And unfortunately, Sony has this history of kind of thinking they can go it alone, and so I have a little bit of a biased opinion of Sony. I have tried to like them. I've bought Sony. If you're listening, I've bought your crappy laptops, and I've bought your camcorders, and everything is just a little bit Sony-ized. It's like, we're going to do it our way. And really what sealed the deal for me with Sony was Blu-ray. Now, did you know that Blu-ray is a technology that Sony owns?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I was aware of that, yes.
So this is basically the modern version of the Betamax versus VHS argument, okay?
Right.
There was a comparable product to Blu-ray 7 or 8-ish years ago, and it was called HD DVD, and I bought into that. And it was superior to Blu-ray in almost every way, from video quality to... You know when you start a DVD, Jay, how you got to watch like 15 previews?
Yes.
Okay. On an HD DVD, you did not. It was really cool how they did it. The menu was interactive, and it would come up at the bottom of the screen while the movie was playing. It didn't pause the movie. So you could be in the menus working through what you wanted to get to while the show's playing in the background. It was fantastic. Yeah. Sony went to all the major movie production houses, all the major studios, and paid them truckloads of cash to stop printing their movies in HD DVD. They bought the obsolescence of HD DVD. So here we go again. And little spoiler alert if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, but fans right now are just up and up. The internet is just flipping out right now over this whole Spider-Man thing because, and you're going to want to turn your speakers off right now if you haven't seen Endgame. Tony Stark's whole thing during this last movie was, the last two movies was, he comes back and he says, I lost the kid, meaning Spider-Man. Spider-Man died, right? So then they go back and they do the snap. Have you seen the movie? Am I just totally wrecking this for you?
No, you're not. I'm okay with that stuff, man. Because I'll forget it by the time I go actually watch the movie.
Then they go back and undo all that, and they bring him back and they save him, and his life is complete. And then he sacrifices his own life to save Spider-Man and many others. And people right now on the internet are like, are you freaking kidding me? Iron Man died for what? For what, Sony? For what?
Well, do you think there's a chance?
There's always a chance. And I think if anything, Sony will pull their head out of the sand and look at how many angry Marvel comic book fanboys there are right now ranting on the internet and go, yeah, we might want to reconsider this.
They didn't have anything to do with killing Spock off, did they?
No, that was a different. That's Paramount.
Okay. All right. Well, that's man. Some people can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag, man. And this is one of those incidents where you're scratching your head, going, "What? What are you thinking?"
Their computer business is defunct now. The Sony Line. They don't do that anymore. They've gotten out of practically everything that they used to do. Yeah. And they just keep ruining things one at a time.
They were one of those companies, man, that everybody had something of theirs in their house. Like let's take it back, to the big hunker Trinitron TVs, man, the Vegas or whatever they call them.
I had one, and they were fantastic.
I owned one too, man. I, in 1986, bought one of the first Sony Discman.
Yep.
Right? And I still have it, and it still works. Isn't that crazy?
So what have they got left, man? They've got the Ibo Dog.
They can always contact me and buy that Sony Discman from me. It's got to be worth something.
But there's no innovation coming out of them anymore.
No.
The Walkman, the Discman, those were both revolutionary.
Yeah,
right?
They were. I mean, they were. They had a good speaker audio line.
Yeah.
Which was great. They even got into microphones, and they were the headphones, and they were doing well. But there's just somebody was always coming behind them and doing something a little bit better, man. And now they're kind of left in the dust.
And they're getting this reputation of staying in it just long enough to get people excited, and then they pull the rug out from under you, and people are going to get wise to that.
Do you think maybe this is a nail in their coffin?
I think it could be, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the next Spider-Man movie, because it'll be the same headline actor, Tom Holland. He's still under contract to play Spider-Man, but they can't use any of the Marvel characters, so there will be no crossover. And if it flops, it is going to be a strong message to Sony that you have... And then there's no going back at that point. You've already removed him from the Marvel Cinematic Universe for one movie. You can't then turn around and take him back. That's...
Right.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Wow, man. Yeah, I can see you being pretty upset over that, man.
Who knew, man?
I mean, I know you are, you're the big Marvel Comics fan, and DC Comics, Marvel, all that, man. Good stuff. So, wow, Wow. Okay, well, while we're on, things that move around space and stuff, were you aware of the recent fraudulent activity that went on in space?
I've got the article up right now that you posted, and
yes, I would like to preface this with saying that it gives a whole new meaning to me when somebody says something and I go, it's not rocket science, because apparently rocket scientists and astronauts are a little dumb too sometimes.
Right. So let me just
Not
read
always
it
geniuses.
to our listeners and viewers here, and you can talk about this. This is coming from CNN. NASA is examining a claim that an astronaut improperly accessed the bank account of her estranged spouse from the International Space Station.
Right.
So we've learned two things from this. First of all, they have the internet in space somehow. And second, I guess you need money in space. I don't.
So here was what the excuse was. Of course, now the whole deal is her and her estranged wife. I guess they're going through a pretty messy divorce right now.
So NASA astronaut Anne McQueen told investigators she had accessed the bank account of her spouse while on a 6-month mission aboard the ISS in preparation for her role in NASA's anticipated first all-female spacewalk. McLean's spouse, former Air Force intelligence officer Summer... Are you joking? Summer Warden, former Air Force intelligence officer. If you're going to break into somebody's bank account, maybe you shouldn't do it to an intelligence officer.
Well, or at least be on an island somewhere where they have no traceability of the IP. I mean, come on. How many people are in space? I mean, it's not like you're going to get away with it. I mean... That's just not very smart, man.
So it looks like,
in a lot of ways,
from what I'm reading here, like she accessed the account but didn't move any funds. And, where that I'm sure becomes an issue is if they're going through some sort of separation, legal separation, wanting to know what the other party has in their bank account is leverage for during a settlement, right? So
that's right. Yeah. So she accessed all that information. There's apparently not any, like you said, funds moved, no fraudulent activity in that regard, but she fraudulently accessed. Now, you got to understand, people have a responsibility to themselves when you are in a situation like that and you share a joint bank account with someone and you're separating or divorcing or whatever. You should probably think about changing your passwords. Just go open up another account. And just remember, your mother's maiden name doesn't really have to be your mother's maiden name.
I cannot even begin to tell you the number of times that I have counseled and consulted businesses on this practice.
Yep.
And they just don't care. And so I think we're getting to a point. We've talked about this on a previous podcast. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
We are getting to a point where there is going to be a cyber crimes division of the legal world where they deal in nothing but these kinds of cases, and we have special cyber law that covers it because it's getting so bad.
Right.
One of the big ones that this will tie into another news story. There's these. Okay, so remember when we would watch movies back when Blockbuster was still around and you would rent movies?
Yeah.
The heist movies, right? The hostage negotiation type movies, right? So the modern day version of that is hackers getting into a corporation and holding their data hostage and locking them out of it, right?
I noticed you dropped something in about ransomware. Let's just go ahead and talk about it. Yeah.
So that goes on all the time. And a lot of times, like there was a famous one a couple of years ago where Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital got locked out of all their they couldn't access patient information, and there was a standoff. They would refuse to pay the ransom, and after about 5 days they were losing hundreds of millions of dollars and just said, we got to pay it or we're done. So So this is a local company here to me in Nashville called Asurion. Now they are a very large global company. I actually got offered a job with them when they had like 10 employees, and I didn't take it. It didn't.
I think I remember that. Was that post?
No, it was before all. It was before all. It was.
Oh.
I had just graduated from college, and I knew my student loans were going to start. Bills were going to start coming due, and it was a lot of promise in terms of getting in on the ground floor, but they couldn't pay me very well, and I had to go with the gig that I could use to pay some bills. So I passed on it. It was an interesting company then. A lot has changed, but as the article reads, and this is from the Tennessean, which is the Nashville newspaper, the FBI says that Asurion paid $300,000 in ransom after private data was stolen. So they know they paid at least $300,000, and there was an extortionist who claimed he stole the info of thousands of employees and more than 1 million customers, and no doubt held a ransom over them. And then you're faced, if you're Asurion, with two things. Number one, public image, if people find out about this, and number two, if they lock you out of that data, you can't get your work done.
That's right.
Now, Asurion is known primarily for, do you have a cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have the replacement plan on the phone where you pay like $5 a month?
Yeah.
That's Asurion.
That's Asurion.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's what they do.
I am familiar with them. Yeah. That's and there's loads of money in that.
Yep.
But the problem, that data that they have a lot of information on a lot of people, man. So that's pretty dangerous. Wow.
So
and that's just becoming the norm. You hear about it every day. There's some sort of ransom, cyber attacks going on in these companies, man, and it's pretty sad where we're at there. They need to get that figured out. So just be aware.
Well, if people would stop using their birth date or their mother's maiden name or 1234 as their password, then that would go a long way to helping. It's sort of the basic version of locking your car doors, right? Like you just got to do it now. You just got to.
Tell everybody about the nice password app that you use. What's?
Yeah, well, so I use one called 1Password. It's the number 1 and then the word password, and it's more focused on the Mac side of things, but there is a Windows version of that. Yeah. You can use it on your mobile device, on your Mac, on your Windows laptop, on your tablet, and basically it syncs all your passwords and keeps them in a secure vault. And I let it generate random strings of passwords for me, and it'll have weird characters and numbers and letters and all that in it. And then I'll just use that as my password, and every 30 or 60 days, I'll let the app go back and change it. So let's say I log into like, Amazon, and I have my Amazon password. Well, I'll just let the app change that password and then store the new password. And it's on a recycling or a revolving password cycle, and they're complex passwords. I can't even remember them, but it's all stored in that app.
And here's the beauty of that. This is something I learned from you, is that because it's so randomly done and frequently done in the changing of all that, it's extremely secure. It's extremely effective.
Well,
it's highly recommended.
The first level of hacking is what's called a brute force attack, and they'll come in and they'll basically just throw a dictionary at your password, trying to unlock it. And if you're using a dictionary word, it's probably going to get cracked. So when you go with something like this that's completely random, it makes it more difficult. And remember, thieves and criminals always go for the easiest target. They're going to go after the unlocked door first because it's easy. So, and if you're not a fan of the Apple stuff, on that side, there's LastPass, which is another password management tool. I think Google bought them recently. It's good. But you should look into them. LastPass, I think, has a free level if you want to kind of get your one foot in the pool. But if you don't have a way to securely look, and putting them in sticky notes in your computer is not secure. It needs to be encrypted. It needs to be stored and locked with a master password, right? Think of it as a safe, as a digital. You've got a safe in your house. You know the combination to that safe. And then once you get the safe open, you've got access to everything inside of it.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah, it's to protect yourself, man. You know, as we were reading this story, man, I didn't realize this, and you probably already knew this, and maybe you mentioned it in the past, maybe not, but I see that Mitsubishi North America is moving their headquarters to Nashville.
Yeah, we've talked about that, haven't we?
We did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we talked about it on a previous podcast. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, here's something else. I guess be aware too, man. And I saw this story on the news not long ago that there is a large percentage of Uber Eater drivers that your online food delivery guys.
Yeah.
Are eating, might be eating your food before you get it.
Oh, yeah. So you're reading one of the news articles. Yeah. So they're talking about if you order like Burger King,
right?
They're snacking on your fries on the way to your house.
That's right. Yeah. So if your fry packet, your box, your little handy little thing that they put those things in, if you feel a little cheated, you might be looking at your delivery source. Just saying.
It's apparently quite rampant.
It's common.
Yeah.
It's very common. I mean, they were on local news here. They were laughing about it. They were just saying, it just happens, man. We know we get hungry, so I mean, you drive around with all this food in your car. Yeah. It's nothing to reach in and grab a couple of fries and move on.
God forbid you guys put in an extra order for another pack of fries. I mean,
you know how you address that? Get out of the house, people.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, come on. How hard is it to go, walk down the street or drive down the street and get yourself you need to exercise probably anyway if you're eating all that crap.
So you've got one in here. I've got two Toyota stories that are kind of tied together, but you've got one on Steve McQueen. Do you want to?
Yeah. So I thought this was pretty cool. So you're familiar with, the movie?
Well, actually, can I set this? Do you mind if I set that part of it up?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'll play the part of this is for our listeners and viewers that aren't the level of car enthusiasts that we are. Okay. So probably one of the most famous car chase scenes in any movie, and this was just an iconic car chase scene, was it was Steve McQueen, and he played Detective Bullitt. Is that right?
I think so, man.
It's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah, me as well.
But I
was a young kid.
Yeah, you never forget that car chase scene down the streets of San Francisco, which I don't think they could pull off nowadays. And he was in a Mustang.
Yep.
Where
was that?
It was a very dark green, almost like a forest green fastback Mustang from the late 60s.
Yep.
Famous 1968 Mustang.
68 Mustang, yeah.
And the name of the movie is Bullitt, which I think was also his character name.
Correct.
One of the most famous car chase scenes ever. Went on for quite a while. They shot that thing. It was probably a 15-minute car chase scene, something like that.
It was, man. And, it's what's amazing to me is the production that those guys went through back in the day when you didn't have all this CGI stuff.
No, you didn't have Steadicam rigs and CGI and
right. Yeah, so it was quite the task.
They had some dollies, but yeah.
That's what makes it even more impressive that they were able to pull scenes like this off. I mean, one of my other favorite scenes in a movie is the Blues Brothers, where they're just driving through the mall in Chicago.
Yeah.
That was a real deal, man. I mean, they actually did all that. And I have a friend of mine whose mother was from Chicago and lived there when they filmed that, and she remembers it very well because she worked in the area.
Right.
And she said it was a really exciting time. They were there when they were filming it, and to see those guys, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, driving this thing, and they were actually driving it in a lot of the scenes and stuff. So, but yeah. So let me read this real quick. And this is what this is about. Is the headlines? This is from Hagerty. It says McQueen's Bullitt could be the most expensive Mustang ever sold at auction. The 1968 Ford Mustang driven by Steve McQueen and Bullitt is headed to Meekham's 2020 Kissimmee auction in January. This January 2020, guys. So keep this in mind. Mark your calendar. for this Mecum Auto Show, because you'll find out whether or not it actually gets that kind of money.
Kissimmee auction, I'm guessing that means it's going to be in Kissimmee, Florida?
Yeah, that's the only Kissimmee I'm aware of. Yeah. Because that's close to Disney World.
Yeah, it's
very close to Orlando, so that's probably, it makes sense. Company president and founder Dana Mecum made the announcement this month, August 14th, to kick off Monterey Car Week. Mecum says he expects the Mustang to surpass the American muscle car record of $3.5 million, paid for a 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible. That was at the Mecum's Seattle auction in 2014. The highest auction price for a Mustang to date is $2.2 million, and it was for a 1967 Shelby GT500 Super Snake at the Mecum Kissimmee Auto Show in January of this year. It says, estimating the value of an iconic car like the Bullitt Mustang can be difficult since it is impossible to know just how much someone is willing to pay. That's the key right there, people. Understand, it's like, something like these vehicles are only worth as much somebody is willing to pay for them. Bottom line. That just happened with Dave Gilmour's guitars. I mean, the guitar probably brand new was maybe a couple $1,000, but I mean, this thing sold for what, a couple million?
So
I mean,
here's the thing. This is my question to you, Jay. As I'm looking at some of the details of this, and it apparently was kept with a family here in Tennessee.
It was found in Tennessee. That's correct.
The dad that owned it, which apparently had owned it for 2 or 3 decades, passed away about 5 years ago. And they kept this car a secret. If you owned this car, this is one of the most iconic muscle cars ever because of who drove it, the movie, that, Steve McQueen being sort of the king of cool and all that. Would you keep that thing a secret?
Probably not.
You'd want the world to know what you had, right?
I would be putting that stuff up on a pedestal and going, here, look what I got.
Why would you keep it a secret?
I don't know, man. Maybe they were just kind of afraid. The one thing that I read in this is that they want to abide by or respect the wishes of the dad, which was they want to make sure that it gets to somebody that's really, really going to keep it and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And what I mean? It's more of a personal thing, I think, for the ownership here. But they pulled it out of hiding, and now the secret's out, and that's why they think this thing could draw a big dollar amount. They're estimating, like I said, up to around $3.5 million, but we'll see. That's in January of 2020.
Well,
so we'll keep our eyes on that.
I mean,
and
I just don't like the chances just went up. If you're going to pay more than $2 million for a car like this, you're going to take care of it. It's going to go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's going to get a good attention to detail, restoration, top of the line. I mean, you're not messing around with this car.
And I was about to say, if you look at the car as it is in its current condition, it's pretty much how his dad got the thing.
Yeah.
They've done nothing to this car. It needs some TLC. But that, for me, if I'm a buyer of this thing, and I know the history behind it, that nothing was messed with.
Absolutely.
This to me is what makes it even more valuable. Because
and I can see that it's got the original wheels that it had in the movie.
Yeah, it does.
And
the color, the paint,
tires
it's
are
all original.
A match to what it was on. Yeah, there's some rust on it. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Heck
It's a beautiful piece of. There's not to me, when I look at it, there's not a whole lot that anyone would need to do to this thing other than just put it in a shop and just kind of start tearing the panels off of it and just start from the ground up and bring her back to her original beauty, man. That's a beautiful car. I'm a fastback fan anyway.
Yeah, me too.
I love those. And here's what's funny. My wife's dad, he owned, because when I see this, I automatically think of my wife, just some of the stories she told me. My wife's dad owned a 1971 Mach 1.
Yep.
And it was grabber green. It had the grabber green package. But she said when she was a kid, they would go across the mountains over to the west side of the state to visit family. She would sleep in the back deck in the window, man. I mean, that's how far we've come. I mean, this was in the 70s. I mean, that's so illegal now. But
Right.
I mean, that's like us as kids riding around the back of a pickup truck going from one end of town to the other too. That's
Right.
not allowed either anymore. So.
Well, some parts of the country, yeah, but yeah.
Well, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was a neat article. I thought it was worthy of sharing because anybody who is a car fan knows about.
And it's a
the
good movie.
Bullitt.
If you have not seen Bullitt, go get it or rent it or wherever you can find it. Stream it and watch it. I mean, the car scene for sure is the chase scene is one of the highlights, but the movie itself it's good. It's good.
Yeah. I like it. Steve McQueen's great anyway.
And the scenery of San Francisco as a backdrop for that chase was pretty great with the hills and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, two of my favorite actors during that time, man, would have to be, I would have to go with Steve McQueen and Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Two of my favorites, man.
Yeah.
All the Dirty Harry movies, man.
Yeah, those were, yeah, you didn't go wrong with either one of those.
No, good stuff.
All right, so one more movie-based car story here. And I will just file this one under people can't stop watching bad car movies. But the 2020 Toyota Supra is apparently going to be featured in the next Fast and Furious movie, which is going to be, what is it, Furious 9?
I think so.
Are they still doing these? I mean, like I watched through the first 4 and they got so bad that I just went, I can't suspend my disbelief long enough to. They're just so cheesy if you know anything about cars.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I've never been a big fan of those movies, but drifting and those types of cars, the drifting.
It's when you're jumping them through helicopter doors and jumping them from skyscraper to skyscraper and. Well, yeah, come on. I mean, you got the video game. I mean, that's where this comes from. Yeah,
that's where it's all at. I mean, that's what it's all about, and that's the generation and good. That's their Bullitt.
Yeah,
seriously, it is. I mean, if you think about it, you got to give them that.
So apparently, and I will say that the original first few, they did have a Supra in them. That was the older Supra.
Mm-hmm. Which was a 2JZ engine.
Yeah, it's like a 93s, or early 90s, something like that.
Yeah.
The Paul Walker drove, I think, in the Tokyo Drift or one of those you were talking about.
I think so. Yeah.
So this one looks like they're going to. There were some photos leaked to Instagram. They've got orange Supras, and looks like they're going to be racing Chargers.
Oh.
There were Chargers in the same scene or something like that.
Wide-body Dodge Chargers that will presumably be driven by Vin Diesel's character in the upcoming one. What is this? Also posted online is what appears to be a mid-engine. That's what they're talking. A mid-engine wide-body Dodge Charger.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's gonna be but in this movie, that could very well be just for that movie.
Okay. Well,
I might watch it just for that, but yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Corvette has started here, though.
So
we'll see.
This is smart on Toyota's part because they're getting good marketing for that car, and it may help it stick around a while. On the bad side of Toyota, I've so much to talk about here today. I'm so excited about several things, but. Got a guy from Motor Trend reporting on Instagram that Toyota plans to discontinue their iconic Land Cruiser after 2022. Now, this thing is famous for being indestructible.
Right.
And one of the problems that I have with Toyota is when they discontinued the FJ Cruiser, which had a similar type of demographic that they catered to, was the off-road overland crowd, and they kind of turned their backs on them and went more toward, I don't know, soccer SUVs or whatever. So now they're talking about killing off the Land Cruiser. And this is more and more things pointing to the fact that Toyota is turning their back on the overland crowd. And we have talked on this podcast about the huge popularity in the upswing in Jeeps and the crowds that are buying these off-road vehicles. And here you've got Toyota, and I'm scratching my head on this, and they're just going, no, we're not interested.
Crazy.
If this is true. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, man. There's a lot of Land Cruiser clubs up here, by the way.
Yeah,
You
well,
know, they're part of the Overland, groups, and man, these guys go on these long treks and up in these mountains here, and pretty crazy.
and then
they're
on the
great
other
vehicles.
side of that, you have Motor One posting that Toyota is reportedly going to put a TJ Cruiser into production. Now,
I see that.
I'm looking at the concept car here, and this is the dumbest looking vehicle I've ever seen roll off a Toyota. If this is actually what it's going to look like, it looks like a minivan with a boxy
like-
front end that who are you trying to sell cars to, Toyota? What is this?
Yeah, because it looks like the front end of it, man. Looking at this thing, I don't know. It's just it looks very.
The TJ Cruiser concept originally debuted at the 2017 Tokyo Motor Show. It features a boxy van-like exterior, and the design puts an emphasis on usability. For example, the front and second rows of seats fold flat for loading items all the way up to the dashboard. Okay, but I mean, so again, who are we catering to? The urban crowd?
Who are you marketing that to?
Because I sure don't want one. I mean, like, if I'm going to buy an urban vehicle, it ain't going to be a Toyota. That's just not what they're known for.
Mm-mm.
What in the world, man?
That's interesting.
Are they
Okay.
are they allowing like drug use at Toyota corporate like throughout the day, and they just
Hey, I'll say it again, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, man. For some of our other marketing geniuses out there, you go watch what GM just did with the Corvette.
Toyota,
people.
you guys listen to me, Toyota. I'm talking to you right now. You guys are known for your off-road, for the original 4Runner, which I owned, for the original Land Cruiser, for the original FJ40. I mean, do I need to continue here for the FJ Cruiser, and now you're kind of bringing the 4Runner back to an off-road style. What are you guys thinking? Like, there's only so many cameras you can. I don't know. I'm just begging you guys over at Toyota to please snap out of it, and we are hungry for off-road camping utilitarian vehicles that we can take off the pavement. The proof is out there in sales here in the United States. You guys have got to stop this college dorm room sleep in your car crap. I don't even know what to call this thing, man.
Right. Well, but to go out on a high note on this Toyota situation, you texted me a picture the other day that was sitting out front, for sale, Costco.
Yeah.
And you're the first thing you said to me was, you tell me one company out there that it is a factory piece to have a snorkel on this thing.
Well, okay.
And I was like really impressed.
So thanks for reeling me back in with the voice of reason here. Okay. So I feel a little better. Thanks for that reminder. So as the story goes, I was walking out of Costco the other day, and they park cars because Costco sells cars through certain programs, and it was a Toyota Tacoma, so it was their smaller pickup, and it was a factory automobile with the window sticker on it, and it had a full-on factory-issued snorkel that went up above the cab line.
Above the cab. Yep, it was awesome.
And I said, you show me one other manufacturer that has I didn't use the word courage, but something that would, a body part that resembles courage, right?
Yeah.
That would do that, because they are daring you to put that sucker in the water with a factory snorkel.
That's the only reason you have it. That's it. Either that or they were selling it. It's going down to a dealership in Louisiana.
Or that, yeah.
Hurricane-prone areas, man.
Right.
Which, by the way, we're starting to get into that height of that season of hurricanes stirring up out there in the Atlantic and the tropics right now. There's a bunch of that stuff going on. So make sure you get out and buy lots of beer and bread, people.
And maybe watch the Generators podcast if you're worried about emergency power. Some good information in there, right?
That's exactly right. We should steer them that direction.
So, why don't you let's do this. Let's take a little break-ish thing here, and we're gonna probably split this podcast up into 2 parts. Do you mind telling everybody kind of where we are, where to find us?
Sure.
You know, all that good stuff. I'm gonna go find some blood pressure medicine.
Yeah. So first of all, the easiest way to do is go to our website, partscounterguru.com. And there on the website, you have a little drop-down menu on the upper left-hand side of the screen that shows our podcast links. There, once you click on that, you can go to your choice of platforms that you wish to use. If it's an audio, we've got several options there for you. If you like the visual podcast, you can check us out on Apple iTunes. Apple Podcast, but we really would like for you to go over to YouTube, find us there because you have the entire library of videos from us. You'll have product reviews, our podcasts, DIY information, just stuff like that. But what's really, really important is that we get your subscription. There's a subscribe button right there. It's really easy. And remember, I've said this before. I'll continue to drive it home. It is free to you, but it is priceless to us, and that is how we can continue to do what we do. So please subscribe on YouTube, and then subscribe on all the other ones as well. But the main subscription we want is going to be from our YouTube channel. So you got anything to add to that, Keith?
No, that was nicely done.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I sort of soothing. I was just sitting here sort of thinking about subscribing, and it's actually the 2 Whoppers that I downed at the beginning of the show.
It's the impossible burger that's putting you down. It's all the drugs they put in it to make you they drug you to make you think you're eating a burger is what it is. See, that's how it works.
All right.
So
okay, we're gonna take a quick break. I guess I will tease the main topic of the podcast, and then we'll hit the break marker here, the break button.
Yep.
The brake lever.
The brake lever,
right.
lever.
So,
lever.
I had to have some body work done recently to my RV, which created a whole fiasco with Camping World. And I talked to Jay about it, and Jay actually gave me some really good advice. But thought it might be interesting to share some of the strategies and what happened and what you can do if this happens to you, kind of thing. Not just with an RV, but any kind of repair-related work or body-related work. It was kind of the drama that unfolded, and I don't know why this stuff always happens to me, but I guess it's just because subconsciously they know we have a podcast and I'll talk about it.
Exactly. I think that's what it is, man. I think that the podcast gods are on our side and continuously giving us content, Keith. That's what it is.
So coming up in part 2, here in just a couple seconds, we're going to talk about that. Make sure you click on over to that one right after that. After this one, blah, blah, blah. And we'll be right back.
All right. Sounds good. See you then.